Well, hey guys, it's me again. And I picked the perfect backdrop this time. My manager and my granddaughter in the background here has learned to do front flips on the trampoline and wanted to make sure that it got captured on video. So, as best I can hold this phone, I'm going to do that. Anyway, this video is called Why Not Me? And the reason for it is the good Lord's been dealing with me about some things while I've been up on this job out in the boonies. And especially last night he did. And it's the way that the appreciation factor for other people in our lives, we read the book and we think that's nice, you know, that he thought this way, he did this way, and had a heart for the people this way. But I'm going to tell you a little story about the oldest brother I had that was 22 years older than me, and he had done things his entire life right, up to the point of even when the family had moved to McDowell, California, and he was working as a bank teller, he took his money and bought school clothes for the rest of the siblings because he was able to do it, and my parents at the time were still in a tight spot. And through all my misadventures and me being mad at the world and going out and taking it out on the world, I had respected this man because he had ended up being a senior vice president of several bank chains by the time it was done. And in the midst of all of that, achieving what he had set out to do, God called him to start a church in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and he said, okay. He gave up all the recognition, all the money, went and started that church. And in doing that, he had to stay with, their family had to stay with our family for a while. And I finally got to know the man, and not just the persona that I'd been told about growing up. And later in life, after I'd gotten saved and went through my trials and my accomplishments, and he had done everything right all his life, and I had done things that didn't set well with people all my life because I was having the adventures and living. And I received a letter from him in the mail. And he was asking my forgiveness for the way that he had thought about me and treated me during those times. And the way I looked at it, he had no reason to ask my forgiveness, but he was genuinely, from a pure heart, asking just that. And I was a wreck for 3 days. And I had told my pastor I went up for prayer one Sunday. And I tried to explain it to him. And I couldn't stop bawling long enough to get it all out. But he understood it, okay? And yet, in our lives, you know, he never knew fully, I don't think, what that meant to me. But coming from him and the way it was presented, it made a huge difference in my life. And I was ever so appreciative of it. But, you know, we need to exercise that. When God hung on the cross, you know, when Jesus hung on the cross, his thought was, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing here. All right? And why aren't we exercising that same things? We call ourselves disciples of his, and we tell everybody we're trying to be like him. But when it comes to situations, we're quick to point the finger, even though there's 3 pointing back at us. That is basically saying, nah, this ain't working, buddy. All right, let's get back to the point where that means something. And we actually are exercising what he exercised. And I promise you, if you will do that, even in the small things, it's going to begin to grow in your life, and it's going to affect people in such a way that you will be ever so grateful, and that attitude of gratitude won't be something you have to work on. It's going to be a constant thing there for you. So anyway, I went a little longer than I expected, but thank you, and she did good, huh? Mm-hmm. All right, I'll talk to you later.